Welcome back to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today. Usually we start off with a structured agenda to kind of map out our journey, but honestly, today we're just going to skip the preamble entirely. The source material we're looking at, Ep.07 of this incredibly compelling drama, is so thick with emotional tension, awkward proximity, and quiet heartbreaks that we literally just need to jump right in. We're unpacking the fragile, messy bonds of a marriage built entirely on duty rather than destiny.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this opening hook sets the exact tone for everything that follows. Imagine the scenario. It's their wedding night, a night traditionally associated with romance and new beginnings, right? Instead, we're greeted with this incredibly stiff, forced reality. Wang Xiyi and Chen Jiaxin are suddenly thrust into this super awkward proximity. They're legally bound, they're expecting a child, and yet they are complete strangers sharing a room. CA's blunt question about the sleeping arrangements, tonight, how will we sleep, perfectly captures the icy, uncomfortable baseline of their new life together.
Section 1. A reluctant union, the cold reality of a secret marriage.
So, behind closed doors, stripped of all the wedding finery and the public eyes, the cold reality really sets in. There is absolutely zero honeymoon phase here. Instead, there's this deep, agonizing emotional distance that both characters are desperately trying to navigate without getting hurt. Xiyi's frustration boils over into this painful admission: I've completely lost control of my life. And well, you can kind of understand why. His heart, his actual romantic intentions, are literally thousands of miles away in Paris with his girlfriend Anna. He feels like he's betrayed her. And on the other side of the room, we have Jiaxin, who is just constantly apologizing for her mere existence. She feels like a profound burden. Her response to his anger isn't to fight back, but to make this heartbreaking promise. She vows to quietly disappear from his life, and Anna's life, the moment their baby is born.
And this brilliantly illustrates the jarring duality of Jiaxin's new reality. Look at this stark contrast. In private, her new husband is offering her a harsh transactional exit, get some money and disappear. He just cannot bear the guilt her presence brings him. But in public, the wealthy Wang family, specifically Grandma Zhenju, is wrapping Jiaxin in this incredibly warm, protective embrace. Grandma is publicly promising to treat her like her own flesh and blood, so Jiaxin is caught right in the middle of these two extremes, deeply unwanted by the man she married, yet fiercely protected by his matriarch.
Moving to Section 2, Family Bonds and Dowries, Protection Across Class Divides. This brings us to a really fascinating theme in the source material. It's not just the couple navigating this mess, it's the mothers. We see some powerful, fiercely protective instincts kicking in from the older generation, attempting to bridge a massive socioeconomic gap. Let's break down the profound cultural and emotional weight of Jiaxin's mother's actions. Now, the Wang family is incredibly wealthy, right? But Jiaxin's mother insists on providing a dowry of essential home appliances and her own precious gold ornaments. She knows these items pale in comparison to the Wang family fortune, but look at her core intent here. She is sacrificing her most valuable worldly possessions for one specific reason: to buy her daughter respect. She's terrified that marrying into wealth without bringing anything of her own will result in Jiaxin being entirely looked down upon and mistreated.
Which brings us to Grandma Zhenju's response, and honestly, it's a masterclass in high emotional intelligence. She tells her, if it can make you feel at ease, I'll accept them, but they should stay with Jiaxin forever. She doesn't need these appliances. She certainly doesn't need the gold, but she reads the room perfectly. She accepts this modest dowry not out of greed, but purely to grant Jiaxin's mother peace of mind. She then immediately redirects the value, stating that these treasures will remain with Jiaxin. It's a beautiful, respectful exchange that momentarily eases the massive class tension between the two families.
Section 3. Change in workplace tensions, from errand girl to special assistant.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because while the family dynamics are deeply emotional, the revelation of this secret marriage violently and comically disrupts Jiaxin's professional life. What happens when the office errand girl suddenly turns out to be the CEO's pregnant wife? First, her nosy colleagues inevitably uncover the secret. Step 2, sheer panic. They suddenly remember every single time they made her fetch sugar-free coffee or do their busy work. And then comes Step 3, the rapid, hilariously transparent overcompensation. Suddenly, they're tripping over themselves to protect the pregnant wife.
So we get this fantastic before and after snapshot of her new workplace reality. Before the marriage, she was hidden, she ran errands, she was scolded, given cheap red envelopes, and basically totally exploited. But after the secret gets out, boom, she's suddenly promoted to special assistant. Her coworkers are serving her.
They're panicking. They're wildly protecting her. She goes from being completely ignored to becoming the untouchable VIP of the office. It's a stark, really funny reminder of how quickly social status changes when proximity to power is revealed.
Section 4. The divorce agreement when love becomes transactional. But let's zoom back in, because while The Office definitely provides a laugh, the emotional core of this story is rapidly deteriorating. We move from the warmth of family and the comedy of the workplace right into the cold, deeply transactional nature of a legal contract. The concept of a protective contract is introduced directly by Jiaxin's mother. It's a legally binding agreement to ensure a partner's responsibilities are in black and white. We learn she carries the trauma of a loveless marriage where she was left with nothing, so she passionately advises Jiaxin to protect herself. What's absolutely fascinating here is the dramatic irony. Unbeknownst to each other, both sides of this new marriage are secretly consulting lawyers. Both sides view legal paperwork as the only safety net in a union entirely devoid of romantic trust. The timeline of this contract is just brutal. Let me guide you through it. Within mere hours of their awkward wedding night, Xiyi is making late-night phone calls to his lawyer, Mr. Chen. Over the next few days, a highly detailed secret contract is drafted completely behind Jiaxin's back. And then, in a matter of minutes, Xiyi abruptly drops this massive, life-altering document right onto Jiaxin's lap, presenting the terms of their eventual divorce as a done deal. It is a rapid, incredibly cold escalation. So the crucial point is how Xiyi justifies this behavior to himself. He actually tells her, "Alimony, a house, and a good job. I don't want you to suffer losses." In his highly rational, business-oriented mind, he genuinely believes he's being a good guy. He thinks that by throwing money and assets at the problem, he is adequately protecting her future once he inevitably leaves her for Anna. He is completely blind to the emotional cruelty of calculating a divorce payout just days into a marriage. Section 5. A dignified stand. Reclaiming self-worth. This sets us up for the emotional anchor of this entire explainer. Up until this point, Jiaxin has been passive, right? She's been apologetic, she's accepted whatever crumbs of kindness or flashes of anger Xiyi has thrown her way. But this contract, it pushes her to an absolute breaking point, sparking this powerful evolution. And she delivers this absolutely jaw-dropping quote. She signs the agreement to give him the divorce he wants, but she completely rejects his financial safety net. "I don't need your money because I'm not selling my kid." It is a stunning rebuke. With one sentence, she strips away his self-righteous delusion that he is taking care of her and exposes the transaction for what it actually feels like to her, a buyout of her child.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how fundamentally she shifts the power dynamic between them. She says, "I'll try harder than anyone else to live well and come back to see my kid in a dignified way." She refuses to be bought. She calls out his cruelty, noting that while he thinks he's being rational, he's actually just choosing the most agonizing way to handle things. By vowing to work harder than anyone else, to live well, and to return in a dignified way, she reclaims her entire self-worth. She isn't the pathetic errand girl anymore, and she definitely isn't a charity case for the wealthy CEO. She is a mother establishing her own unshakable boundaries. We've seen the awkward start, the protective mothers, the workplace chaos, and finally, a cold contract met with fierce, unexpected dignity. Which leaves us to ponder this final provocative thought. When two people are forced into a legally binding box, meticulously designing their own separation, how long can a marriage of duty survive before the heart takes over? When all the rules are written in black and white, what happens when real, messy human feelings start rewriting the script? Keep that in mind as you process everything we've unpacked today. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive in the explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.